absolutely lied to us. The 9/11 Commission lied. The FBI lied. There's a federal case of victims on 9/11 that want accountability if this was false. What do we know about Hunter Biden's dealings? What do we know about the truth of what happened on January 6th? What do we know about that Nashville shooter manifesto? Yes, Luke can handle the truth. Just give me the hard truth. It feels like we're in a cusp of chaos. Oh, there's something going on. I think we're like in a 1776 moment. Driving Russia further into China's arms as we arm Ukraine, further strengthening what I see as the single greatest military threat. We are dependent on a tiny island nation off the southeast coast of China for our entire modern way of life. I will not send our sons and daughters to die over somebody else's nationalist economic dependence on China, weaken the Russia-China alliance.
I'm not sure what is controversial about any of that. They're a dumber group than the foreign policy Republicans. Where are we now?
And vacuum that we have to fill with an affirmative alternative vision of our own. And that takes courage.
Less than a week away. It's next Wednesday in Milwaukee. We have no idea what's going to happen there, of course. But one prediction we can confidently make is that a man called Vivek Ramaswamy is likely to make an impression, a political outsider with a complicated name who is unaccountably rising in the polls. Who is this guy? Is he a BS artist? Is he for real? We just sat down with him for an hour and found him one of the best versed voices in policy we talked to in a long time. That was a surprise. This is a conversation worth watching. Here it is.
Good to be here.
So you, the other day, made a comment about 9/11 in which you suggested that the U.S. government had not been wholly forthcoming about what happened that day, that there had been lying by the federal bureaucracies. That seems obviously true. The response was unbelievable. It was immediate. You were attacked as a conspiracy monger, as a lunatic, but not just by the left, also by the goons at the Wall Street Journal editorial page, who wrote a whole piece about how you disqualified yourself by even asking that question. What were you saying, and why was the reaction as fierce as it was, do you think?
It was fascinating, Tucker. I've had many of these moments in the campaign where they said, this is the campaign ender. This is over. He just blew it. This is one of them. So this is like the fourth or fifth of those. But what was interesting about it was, right, this was not a left-wing chorus, right? This was mostly actually a right-leaning chorus. And Mike Pence, and he was deeply disappointed. Chris Murphy, this Democratic Senator guy, says something very similar to Mike Pence. And so it's fascinating. It says there's something going on here. So in fairness, Tucker, I didn't suggest it. I explicitly said that the government absolutely lied to us. The 9/11 Commission lied. The FBI lied. Now, is this a core point of my campaign? No, it's not. I actually went on a comedy show where some guy asked me, was the moon landing fake? I said, I think it was real. Then he asked me, did the government tell us the truth about 9/11? I said, no, they did not. So in response to a question, I'm going to answer honestly.
Yeah.
And the thing I had in mind was the facts. There's this guy, Al Bayoumi. Rewind back to 9/11 and the pre-9/11 day. Think of how ludicrous this story is. A 42-year-old graduate student, and there's nothing wrong with being 42 and going back to school. My dad went back to school much later in life, but he's a 42-year-old graduate student who receives the two of the terrorists who flew planes into buildings in the United States of America not that long later.
Fair.
Anyway, we had a moment in Iowa over the weekend with Vivek Ramaswamy. We just want to play his answer. He was confronted by an activist, and it went this way with a woman from the LGBTQ community.
I don't think that somebody who's religious should be forced to officiate a wedding that they disagree with. I don't think somebody who is a woman who's worked really hard for her achievements should be forced to compete against a biological man in a swim competition. I don't think that somebody who's a woman that respects her bodily autonomy and dignity should be forced to change clothes in a locker room with a man. That's not freedom, that's oppression.
So just so our viewers know, it went on for a while before and after that. And he thanked her and she thanked him, and they both said, thank you for being civil.
Yeah.
He's got a real opportunity next Wednesday night to introduce himself to millions of people, Kaylee.
He does. He is articulate. He is smart. He understands how to talk about these issues. That should be a model for anyone talking about this issue. He said, I respect you. He said, we all live under the same flag, but he reoriented the conversation to where it needs to be. We hear these terms like culture war and don't say gay bill and gender affirming care, but when you get down into the nuts and bolts, you can look at the Washington Post KFF poll to the tune of 60 to 70%. Americans don't want sex taught in K through 3 education. Americans don't want biological men and women's sports. All of these issues are winning, but the moment you change the language and talk about them as anti-LGBTQ laws, all of a sudden the polling flips. If the issues can be talked about the way Vivek does, you can win on these issues. Don't talk about them as culture wars, talk about them in the exact way we just watched.
We might be able to win in Iowa on those issues, but Jessica, I think the Democrats think that for them on this issue, and if you're going to be an activist, that means you're definitely voting.
Hello, it's Tisha Powell, and you just watched a segment with Vivek Ramaswamy with Tucker Carlson on Twitter, and Fox segment showing Vivek Ramaswamy having a decent discussion with the LGBTQ community. Spoke with a lady who represented, or she's from that. Whatever it is, he didn't agree. Vivek Ramaswamy is anti-woke, and he is very, very truthful about big government. As you know, big government is responsible for $32 trillion in debt, and this inflation that seems to not be ending. Folks, this is why we're bringing you programs like this. We have strong intellectual people on small government side. So there's a lot of hope coming in for the GOP, courtesy of Vivek Ramaswamy. So Tucker Carlson brought him on Twitter, and you saw that exchange, and they are not afraid of talking the truth. And then Fox had to show that segment when Vivek Ramaswamy stood up against a lady that was from the LGBTQ society. As you know, the woke culture is creating a lot of brokenness in corporation. And, as we are taping this show, there is also a hurricane heading to San Diego, Hurricane Hillary. And our thoughts, our prayers are with people there. We'll have more on that tomorrow or later today. So folks, go ahead and hit that free like and that free subscribe button. Therefore, you can get the latest breaking news. We'll be talking also about the hurricane that's hitting San Diego. And folks, go ahead and check out those tag products. You don't have to leave our show while you check out the tag products. Today's is courtesy of Neiman Marcus, and we just want you to check it out. They are gorgeous and they're splurgy. Back to our segments. Tucker Carlson and Vivek Ramaswamy nailed it. Big government is a big problem. And you saw with Vivek Ramaswamy, he nailed it with the LGBTQ community. Even though he doesn't agree with them, it was not a fist fight. It was a very intellectual conversation. And this is why Vivek Ramaswamy is going so high on the poll. He is truthful. He is telling us the truth about big government. Nothing that he's saying is not correct. He is one of those that you're like, this is a rising star. I'm Tisha Powell. Folks, go ahead and hit that free like and that free subscribe button so you can get the latest breaking news. We are in New York, USA, and we will keep you posted on that hurricane or tropical storm, Hurricane Hillary, that's heading to San Diego as we are making this tape. And also, go ahead and check out those tag products we have from Neiman Marcus. They are gorgeous. You can put it up on the side. You can click on the video while we talk.